everyone, it's Ashley with Go and Crochet Z, and today I am going to review 7 patterns that I have made recently, and I wanted just to go over them with you guys to let you know if they're worth a purchase or not. These are all Etsy patterns that I have bought from makers, and I'm just going to go over how the pattern went, if it looks similar to what I saw in the picture, if it's worth the purchase. Some of these patterns are kind of expensive and some of them you can get on sale a lot of the times. And so let's just go ahead and get into this. I'm coming in with the smaller items and building my way up to the bigger items. And the first item I created was this little lion. So this little lion is called The Baby Lion by Madeline Co. And it's made out of parfait chunky yarn. I used a 4mm hook and I think he came out pretty cute. His nose, his muzzle is kind of big. His nose looks a little awkward to me, but other than that, I am very happy with the way he turned out. He's a fairly quick make. It's very low sew, so all you have to sew on is the muzzle and the ears, and everything else is crocheted in or surface crocheted. And I think he's a nice cute little size. He is a little bit smaller, so he can be one of those smaller makes for your table for like the $20 range, I would say. And I did like him. I did notice with her patterns, this one is less detailed than some of her other patterns. I think maybe it was an older pattern because it did like explain crochet the ears in, but it didn't have a very specific place. It did explain, you know, go this far over to crochet them, but it didn't say how far back from the eyes to make them, which her newer patterns do have that. But other than that, this was a pretty cute, quick pattern to make, and I can definitely see myself making more of these for markets. And so yeah, this one was a fun, cute pattern, and I definitely would say I would recommend it, especially if it's like on sale. So I know it's on sale until November 4th. So it's a great time to purchase it. She does have her items for sale some of the time. So if you are shopping for Madeline Co, definitely check her out right now. The next pattern is a duo, and they are also both from Madeline Co. You're going to see a lot of these patterns coming from Madeline Co because I have a lot of her patterns. So I forgot to mention, these are all patterns I have purchased in the past, and they've been sitting in my Etsy list. A lot of them were actually waiting for my reviews on them because I hadn't made them yet, even though some of these I've purchased like a year ago. And so I just wanted to get through some of those paid patterns that I've made, and I thought this would be the perfect time because I do have a market coming up. I did want to have a wide variety of different animals and creatures to make for this market, and I had all of these patterns to test out, so I thought it would be like a triple whammy. I can get some stuff done for market prepping, I can get a YouTube review video out for you guys, and I can really see if I like these patterns that I have purchased and I've had sitting around waiting for me to make. So the next 2 patterns are from a pattern bundle that I bought. I believe you can get them separately as well, but I did buy the bundle. Whenever there's a bundle, I'm gonna buy the bundle because I feel like I'm saving money. I might be spending more money at the beginning, but I know that I'm eventually going to make all of the patterns in it anyway, so I always end up buying the bundle. So this was a bundle. This was the Bitty Belly Critters bundle by Madeline Co. And this was the Bitty Belly Mini Lope, and it's a little bunny, and I decided to use my variegated yarn that I received for Mother's Day and for my birthday. So I received 2 skeins of this yarn for Mother's Day from my son, and I received one skein of this yarn for my birthday from my mother-in-law. So I figured it was time to get some use out of that yarn. The little bunny. Now, just like the baby lion, I think these might have been a little bit older of patterns from Madeline Co because they do have more of sewing involved rather than crocheting in. I do notice that her newer patterns definitely have more crocheting in, like with the arms and the ears. A lot of the time we'll have them crocheted within the rounds, but with these two guys, there is a little bit of sewing which you can adjust. Like you can always crochet in the arms. I just did it the way it called for. It wasn't really that hard or that much extra work, but you do have to sew on the tail, the two arms, and the two ears. And I definitely love it. I actually am really happy I went with this yarn to try out this yarn. I think it's super cute and adds a lot of character to the bunny itself. And so I'm very happy with the turnout. This did turn out pretty close to the size of my lion. This is Bernat blanket yarn. And I believe I did use a 4mm hook with this one as well. And I do love it, and I definitely would recommend this pattern, especially for market makes. I love Madeline Co patterns because they do work up pretty quick. And so they are good for market makes. Next pattern is also by that same Bitty Belly Critters bundle pack, but this is the Bitty Belly Squirrel. And I mean, I gotta say, I love the way this guy turned out. He has a big bushy tail, just like a squirrel does. I love his little facial features, his little teeny tiny ears at the top, and his little belly patch, which is crocheted right into the round. And I love the size. He's a little bit bigger than the bunny and the lion. So you can get a good value for your money on this guy, I think, if you are planning on making one for a market. I recently just did a market, and I had a couple squirrels in the past at my markets, but they sold. And I literally had someone ask me at the market if I had any squirrels or if I had ever made any squirrels. And I was like, I definitely have made squirrels in the past, but I don't have any with me. So I had to make this guy. And I just recalled that I had bought a pattern for it like a year ago, and I had never actually made him. So I had to go ahead and make him for my next market, and I am in love with him. I showed this one to my husband, and he told me I should make like 3 more of these guys immediately because it was so cute. But I'm gonna just give this guy a turn at the market and see how he does. And if someone snatches it up very quickly, I am definitely going to make 1 or 2 more of them because he is so cute. Definitely 100% worth the pattern. Yes, it does take a little bit longer because you got this big old tail that you have to crochet. This pattern also calls for you to sew on the arms, ears, and the tail. The tail doesn't have a super descriptive, this is how you sew it in, this is where you should sew it in. It just kind of says sew it on. But it's pretty self-explanatory. You sew it onto the back of the body and make it look great. So I didn't think that was an issue at all. I am in love with this guy. He is one of my favorites for sure. When I was sewing on the ears and I was following where she said to sew them on, once again, for this specific pattern, she didn't say how many back from the eyes to do. She just kind of said, sew it this many away from the top of the head. And I was worried because I was like, they are too high on the head. This looks silly. But once all of the little pieces, all the little characteristics of his face were on, he's adorable. And so that's just one of those things of trusting the process and it will turn out right. And I am in love with him. He is awesome. And if no one buys him, I'm okay with that because he will stay in my living room watching over me. I might give him a little acorn and have him hang out with me for the rest of fall. Oh, and by the way, this guy I used Sweet Snuggles Light and Home Chenille Slim from Loops and Threads, and I believe either a 4 or 5 millimeter hook. I can't remember which. Okay, this next guy, I am in love with him as well. I was a little concerned that he wasn't going to turn out exactly how I wanted him to, but I really was invested in this project, and so I went ahead and made Swift the Seagull, and I love him. I used a Bernat blanket for this entire guy. I think next time I would maybe use Parfait Chunky for the fry, because the fry looks a little bit more like a cheesy puff to me than a fry. Is a little bit bigger and thicker than I had hoped it to look, but I am in love with him. I think he is perfect. He was so much easier to work up than I expected him to. I was a little concerned I wasn't gonna get it as I was going through the rounds down here where it gets bigger in the back. I was really focused on making the right count. I was worried that he was gonna come off kilter, or he was just gonna look a little silly, or I was gonna do something wrong. Once again, trust the process. I was like, maybe the counts, her counts are off or something, but it came out perfect. I didn't even have to frog it once. It's just perfect in all the ways. I used some glitter eyes for him. I actually went on and looked at the colors of a seagull and figured that this yellow was perfect for the legs and beak, and then they have kind of golden eyes in one of the pictures I saw of them, and so I definitely went and made this guy. I forgot to say, this is Swift the Seagull by handkcrochet shop on Etsy, and yeah, he is perfect. He is awesome. I want to make like 50 more of these guys, but I'm just gonna keep it at the one for this market that I have in a couple days and go from there. And I just absolutely love him. Once again, along with my squirrel, if he doesn't sell, I am okay with it because I will definitely keep him by my side. I love the whimsy of him. I love that he has a French fry in his mouth. I think that makes it so much more personable, so much more of a story involved in him, and just makes it more special, just because he has that little fry, and I think that's just so funny. Next up is fishy pouches, and I did the shark version. And this is by Making Things Naughty. And here we go. I made the shark, and I didn't make it a pouch. I made it a stuffed creature, and because you can create this into a bag, which is really cool. But I wanted more stuffed creatures to start with because I didn't have any pouches or anything to sew into them. So I wanted this done this week for my upcoming market. And so I went for the stuffed version instead of the bag version. But I honestly bought them because they can be created into bags. And this comes with multiple fishes. So you can get the shark, you can get a tropical fish, you can do a koi fish, you can do multiple fishes. Really makes it a very versatile pattern. You can do them all bag style, or you can make them stuff style. So it really makes it a fun pattern to follow. I got this pattern quite a few months ago, like right when it first came out. I got this pattern because I thought it was so cool, and I just never took the time to make it. And so I'm very happy I did. I went with some Sweet Snuggles Light for the body, and I thought the green and the blue would look cute together. Not your typical shark colors. Usually it's like a blue and a white, or like gray and a white, but I wanted to have it a little bit more fun with the green. And his mouth is very mean looking, and in the picture it shows a very mean looking shark, but I wanted to make him look a little bit nicer with his eyelids rather than making him mean looking. I decided to go with kind of more of a dopey, silly shark look, just because, you know, when I think of this shark, I think of little kids, and he's got the mean old mouth, so give him maybe sweet eyes so a kid might not be so scared of him. But that was just my opinion. I asked my son if he liked it this way or if I should make him mad, and he said he liked it this way. So I kept him like this. I gave him those glitter eyes again, and I really like how he turned out. He was pretty quick to make. He was very easy to follow the instructions, even with the teeth and everything. It was super easy to follow. There is a lot of sewing involved in this pattern though. You have to sew on both fins, the dorsal fin and the tail fin and the tails, which is 2 pieces. So there is a lot of sewing if you don't like sewing. And then you surface crochet the teeth in with a smaller weight yarn. Other than all of the sewing, this guy is really cool. I think he is gonna be a fun display piece at my market. I'm not gonna be making 100 of these guys, but I do plan to make one of each fish. So I have the shark, I plan to make the tropical fish, I plan to make the koi fish, and have like a little family of fish swimming around at my market. So I think this is definitely also another purchase, good purchase to make. Although it is going to take you a little bit longer to do this one, and there is some sewing. So if you don't like doing sewing and you don't like a project that is pretty big size, then maybe not for you. If you are looking for something a lot quicker than a 2 to 3 hour make. But I do like this guy, and I'm sorry to say, you guys, but I don't think I have one creation that I made that I am unhappy with. I love all of the creations I made, so stay tuned, but you're not going to hear too much negative. Okay, so once again, you're gonna hear that name, Madeline Co, for this next pattern. This is one of her newer patterns that came out not too long ago. I think I actually applied for the pattern test for this one. Didn't get picked, so I bought the pattern when it came out. But this is Dwayne the Dragon. And I love Dwayne. I think Dwayne is amazing. Very happy with how this guy turned out. I must say though, he does take a while to make. As you can see, there's a lot to him. He's not a basic creation. So if you are looking for quick market makes, this is not the guy for you. But if you are looking for enjoying creating a pattern, putting it together, and finding a beautiful result, this is the guy for you. So as her patterns usually entail, you do all the pieces first and then you put it together. So it tells you to, you know, create the horns and the wings and the tail and the arms and the legs. And then you start with the body. Now with the body, the legs and the arms are all crocheted within the body. And then after you're done that, you do have to sew on the muzzle, the horns, the wings, and the tail, and have this spine that you surface crochet, and the ears are also surface crocheted. Now with the spine, it actually calls for you to do 3 of these. So you have the middle one, and then you're supposed to do 2 more on either side of this. I liked it a little bit simpler with just the single spine. Also, it saved me some time. So I was okay with just doing the single spine. I didn't want to kind of clutter him up anymore. So I did that. I also shortened his horns by 1 row. So when it called for doing like 3 in a round of the same number. I just went with 2 instead because I thought the 3 might make it a little too big. So I just shortened that by 1. But other than that, this stayed true to its pattern. Very easy, very well explained pattern to make. When she said to sew the horns on, it was very specific, this many down, this many back from the eye. When she explained how to sew the tail on, it was this many up and this many covering the back. So this pattern is very, very, very detailed, very easy to follow, well worth the cost. Again, if you are not into spending 3 hours on a pattern, not for you. For sure, not for you. If you don't mind the length, drawing out a pattern a little bit longer, if you don't mind spending more time in all of the details, 100% this is worth it. I plan to make many of these in my future. I love this guy, and I think it is perfect. This definitely is something I want at my booth. I think this is me in a nutshell for what I like to create. I love it. Finally, on to our final pattern, and it is the mini. This is the mini, not the big one. This is the mini Anchor Octopus by Humble Child Co. I bought this pattern a few months back with the intentions of doing a video to show you how long it takes me to create this pattern. I actually bought this one as a bundle pack. So I got the mini anchor and the full-size anchor, and I was gonna make the full-size anchor and then make the mini anchor and time myself. Did that happen? No, because life happened. I got busy, and then I was tired of waiting to create this one, to be honest with you, because I did want to make the full-size one first. I got tired of having to wait to make it. So I just went ahead and did the mini one since I had some markets coming up. Now, again, this project is not for those who want to make a quick market make. This guy alone took me 4 to 5 hours. It's a long process to create, but oh my goodness, I think the results are 100% worth it. This is also a pretty expensive pattern. I think for the bundle it's $15 and some cents. So it's not a cheap pattern. So you definitely have to want to make this one to get. So of course I did do the bundle pack. I think to buy one on its own is more like $8. So if you just wanted to do the miniature one, or if you just wanted to do the larger one, you can save some money there. But I knew I was gonna do both, so why not just go ahead and spend the money on the bundle pack? Saves me a few dollars in the long run, but maybe takes me a little bit longer to create both of them. I do love this pattern. Go over it. You have these tentacles, right? So you have to make 8 of these. Before you do anything else, you have to make 8, not 1, 8 of these. These alone take the majority of the time. I think it was like maybe 3.5 hours alone of just making the little legs. I actually really enjoy doing that kind of thing because I can put a movie on. I can just do this without even thinking about it. This is one of those projects, you know, sometimes you're making an amigurumi, you have to count, especially if it's items like this where they're just a very intensive of making a leg, making an arm, making the nose, making the horns, making the wings. You got to count the whole time. This is a project I can do where, yes, I count like the first row, and then after that, I can just throw it together and not even think about it, except making sure I make 8 tentacles instead of just like 9 or 10. I just need to make sure I have the right amount. So this was a fun project for just zoning out on a movie and creating. This would be a fun project to work on those tentacles in the car, or, you know, in the school pickup line. It's a great place to be able to do those. You can pick it up, put it down, and not worry about losing your count on those. So that's why I like this kind of project. And then of course, you know, you have a little bit of sewing. You have to sew on this big old head, and then you have to sew on this little belly to close it up at the end. But all of these limbs are crocheted together, which makes it nice, not such a intensive sewing project to do. So would I recommend this pattern? Absolutely, I would recommend this pattern. Would I recommend this pattern to someone that doesn't want to spend a lot of time crocheting? No. It took a long time, and I am sure the full-size anchor is gonna take like double the time. So I'm expecting to do like 8 hours at least, full length anchor. But I honestly think it's gonna be worth it. Love them. And those are all of the patterns that I created, and I think that those are all great patterns, well worth your purchase. Yes, some of them are slightly more expensive, but you know what? If you're invested in creating something and you really love what it looks like, they do turn out to look like they are supposed to. They are very good, well-written patterns. I didn't find any errors in any of them. They were very well, you can tell they were very well tested, very well loved patterns. And so that is that for today. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, seeing how the things turned out, maybe getting a couple ideas to make for yourself. And I would love to hear which one of these guys you liked the most, which one of these guys you plan to make or have made already, and give me some color options of what you think you would like to see in these guys, because I'm sure I'm going to be making a lot of these guys all over again, and I'd love to hear your opinions on what colors to do for them. That's it for me for today. So make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, give me an animal emoji if you got all the way through this video, and I will see all of you guys next time. Bye.